Thank you, everyone. I think we'll get started now. We don't want to keep you too late tonight. Just as an introduction, before we get right into it, I would like to thank those who have actually contributed comments to the document platform already. We have actually taken note of some of the comments that were made yesterday, and especially in relation to the format. We've already said that what is up there at the moment has just got filler text in, just to give you an idea of what you might like to comment on. And we'd really like to get some more information from you in the way of comments in relation to what has actually sort of like been important information for you from the workshops that you've attended. Yeah, it doesn't matter how you input your comments into the public comment section, because we will use all our expertise to synthesize it into some way that's actually going to make some meaningful sense. So we're going to sort of like I'm going to pass over to Jen, because she's sort of like right up with what is actually sort of like happening at the moment. So we'll get an overview, and then we'll get right into the document itself. Okay? Great. I hope you're all ready to sort of like get lined up behind those mics. Okay?
Thank you very much, Maureen. My name is Jennifer Chung from the APrIGF Secretariat. Happy to see a lot of people did stay at the end of the day to join this synthesis document town hall session. I am really happy to note that since the last session, we already have 19 comments, so keep them coming. As Maureen did say, and I want to really stress and highlight this point, is it doesn't matter how you input your comment into this platform. The drafting committee will take all the input, all the comments, all the suggestions, including text, including changing of words, including switching of sections, anything that you think that can make this synthesis document better, can make this synthesis document more a reflection of your experience here, all the participation that you've experienced here. It's very valuable for you to do this. So we have on screen now our draft 0. And also, as Maureen did mention before, the text right now here, every single part of it can be changed. It is really up to you. It's in your hands to give us these suggestions. And in addition to giving us these suggestions, you can also join the drafting committee, which we're really happy to note that a lot of people did come up to us at the end of the town hall session yesterday to put their names in for, I'm going to put my name in for this particular session. I'm really interested in helping to shepherd the, for example, the access section or the human rights section. So really encouraged by people really wanting to do this. So without further ado, maybe I would like to invite everybody who's sitting out there. Everything that you've heard yesterday, today, anything you heard in the sessions that you think should be addressed, should be put into this document, please go ahead. The two mics are there in the middle of the room. You can take the mic, or if you're a little shy right now, I do encourage you to put the text into the actual document. And after you put that, maybe you could come up and maybe expand on what you think. Or perhaps we can also go back to our moderators to see if we want to go through the document or the comments we have so far and have any questions for the people who put them in.
We'll see if there's a lull in the thing. But we've got someone up there already. Thank you very much.
Hello. So this is Sherry from Net Mission Hong Kong. We are organizing the YIGF session in parallel to the APrIGF. So we have the roleplay session, which has the topic of Privacy Protection Bill. And I was very glad to see that we had a very intense discussion We had a participant who is a journalism student. He played the role of Google, and he expressed that he had a very hard time because what Google's interest is really against what he as a journalism student holds. So, and that's why I really appreciate the discussion. I really appreciate their genuine ideas. So I would like to invite you all to give a round of applause to our youth fellows, please. So it shows that so youth really has the capability to share with us their voices. They really have something to voice out. But what we observe here is that there isn't many youth speakers in different sessions, and there isn't any time for the youth to voice out. So we'll be glad to see that if there can be more sessions for youth to voice out, to share their opinion with all others. And the second thing is that I and another NetMission ambassador submitted workshop for APrIGF. Though our workshop wasn't admitted, I was really glad to go through the application session because we really did explore into the topic. We want to drill into the topic of secret page on social media. Though it wasn't admitted, and we were very glad to have David of .Asia to give the guidance and support. I heard from the MSG member that there isn't many youth submitting workshops. Probably it's because of the lack of support and guidance, because it's really hard if we know nothing about how to submit a workshop, how to do the formatting, how to make up the content. So that's why I think this is one thing that can help the youth to encourage them to submit workshops and to voice out their concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So here's Natalie from Hong Kong, and I'm year 10 student like you. I've just read the document uploaded briefly. It's quite well organized and easy to understand, which clear my understanding in the issue discussed in APrIGF. But I would like to raise that how the public know this information and how we can raise their awareness. And if we don't have further promotion and introduction on that in our platform, and even though you'd like us know how to access the platform, the documents, I would like to know the interactivity and its immediacy to reply us. We will feel like we are powerlessness if there isn't direct response and the youth won't be able to join and contribute the IG discussions easily. Or else when UN or the people in power are having discussions, then the term multi-stakeholders is just an empty shell. Another issue I want to raise is for youth engagements in IG discussions in both regional and Asia Pacific. I feel like there's not sufficient time to get ourselves involved, like Sherry had said. Because our workshops have usually overrun, there will be no time to open the discussion to the floor. I strongly recommend that we should reserve plenty of time and for them to ask questions and give comments, such that our concerns can be noticed by different powerful stakeholders, and that's the way the youth really contribute and get involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. That's excellent. Could you actually just transfer all that to the platform so that we actually get exactly what it is that you're saying? And I was just wondering whether you had actually spoken, Kauai had actually had a word in your ear, but we do appreciate what you're saying. It's actually been raised several times about the way that workshops have actually been run, that the panels probably have just taken up more time and not given you an opportunity to share your views, and that's a point taken, and we definitely have mentioned this in our MSG meeting today. Thank you.
Thank you. I will do that.
Thank you, Michael.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Pepe, and I represent Papua New Guinea, which is quite, compared to the Pacific, a bigger economy. But we have a little representation here. I think just me. Anyway, it is my first time, and I would like to thank Ati and Yanis, because I more or less begged them to fly me over, yeah, literally. Anyway, I'm just trying to, because everything to me, I mean, I started going into the internet space just last year through one of our colleagues, an academic, Mr. Kasek Galgal, and I was so interested because earlier on I was into open and distance learning, and much of these, I mean, the principles of open and distance learning more or less borrow those principles from the internet. And it more or less like, I could really understand what it was. But anyway, I was just trying to get my head around a lot of these workshops, because I've been really selective about the workshops that I attend. There was a comment made yesterday by Mr. Osama during the session on the whole truth, bringing economic, social, and cultural rights into perspective. I mean, he was talking, but one thing that popped up was he talked about education, which is, he said, education is just the same, you know, in terms of for teaching and curricula, while the practice has changed. And around that, I'm just thinking about, you know, I mean, we have, with the Sustainable Development Goals, we're trying to increase literacy and numeracy. What about trying to increase digital literacy in terms of like, it's more or less like a recommendation where could we at least try to create a curricula on digital literacy, which we could, you know, put it in the mainstream of within the region, you know, the education system. Probably starting from the high school upwards. I mean, that's something, you know. I think it should find its place in a capacity building. So, I mean, I would like to see if that, I mean, I would love to help to build a digital literacy, so we can just make it one of the subjects, you know, or within the education curriculum, so that it is part of all governments to actually roll it out. So that's my point. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Guy, and I am from Hong Kong, and I am also one of the organizers for this RGF. And first of all, I really do appreciate that you have launched the Asia Pacific Region International Internet Governance Forum. I believe this is major progress for youth and for everyone in the region to get involved in internet governance. But with all due respect, I have 2 points to make. The first one is, as long as you know, you set, you have this is a regional internet governance forum. You have decided on which locations or countries that you would like to hold this forum. I believe it do mean something, apart from to let the local staff, local participants to get more involved in internet governance. The other thing, in my imagination, should be you can put some element of the local community that needs to be strengthened or to be improved. Since internet governance, what you mean by governance is to govern people. So I believe if we can apply some specific solutions, or not quite specific, apart from just just a simple statement on what stance are you in or what position are you in. I would like to see more of specific actions you're going to take or suggested or any suggestion you would recommend for Bangkok or even for the regions for us to follow. I think it do mean something. And apart from this, because we, as the organizer of their own, our own activity, the debate inside our own community or activities, it's quite intensive. And I believe those outcomes or reward or even questions they have raised which haven't answered yet, it's still worth to put inside into this document. And eventually, this is a synthesis document. It should be include all the outcomes or questions that needs to be answered. And these are my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, thanks. And just to say, we were just in the national regional NRI session, and in fact, just to respond to your point around how it contributes to local participation. So, for example, what we heard is that in Thailand there will be a national IGF, and it really comes from the energy comes from this APrIGF. So. If we have, one of the things I guess for the youth IGS is also for you to be involved in your national IGS, and for us to say to the national IGF organizers to please involve, the youth in their event. So I think that's one very concrete thing we can suggest in terms of just making sure that there's much more participation. So next.
And I just wanted to add too that one of the things about the IGF is that we don't actually make recommendations for you. The whole point is that we actually want to get the recommendations to come from you and into this document as one way. So if we're, we want to hear your voices. We don't want you to actually expect us to sort of tell you things. It's not a top-down thing. It's definitely bottom-up, okay?
Hi. Yeah, hi, good afternoon. I'm Janelle, I'm from the Philippines, and I already commented about my concern about the location of the placing of the legislation and policies governing ICTs. I wonder why it only falls under the security issues, wherein I think it actually covers all the key issues discussed. Yeah, so I think I already commented it. But another comment is about, I'm really having a hard time. I want to comment on I want to improve this document, but I don't know how my approach should be, wherein I'm not sure if this should reflect certain positions or this should be some form of mother statements of a document that is full of mother statements, wherein, like for example, in the part of the right to be forgotten, while on the first part it actually urges us to be cautious about right to be forgotten, but on the latter part it actually is advocating not to pass any regulations on right to be forgotten. I myself recognize the importance of right to be forgotten. I can see its importance. During the forum earlier, some people are against it, some people are supporting it, but clearly the right to be forgotten, if you guys are reading it right now, it actually encourages us not to support right to be forgotten. So I'm not really sure if this document should be a reflection of our position. If the term really used earlier was to make this improve this document. I don't know how to make this, the idea of improved. So do we have to make this a series of mother statements, or do we have to state there that this should be our stand and this should be not our stand? I don't know. Yeah, so probably you can enlighten us on how to approach this document first. What's the purpose? Where the target audience and all. Thank you.
Can I respond to that before the other people? first of all, I can't resist this, right? It's not a gendered statement. It's not a mother statement. Mother statement, I think in that sense, you're saying, this is it's general.
I'm sorry,
right?
sorry, not a really mother statement, general statement. I'm using general statement.
Yes,
sorry,
I think
yeah.
that's better because yeah. So just that point. Otherwise, I'll call it father statements. Okay, but to respond to your point,
I think I have to say sorry to mothers
No.
out. Yeah.
it's okay. Janelle, just to respond to your point, so yes, there will be differences of opinions, and in fact, in the last synthesis document, that happened. But I think the point here is that number one, it's not about what our position is. It's about a reflection of what the differences of analysis maybe or opinions are. So you could reflect, let's say, one of the things that happened is this discussion around right to be forgotten and the salient points that happened. And it does not have to be one position that says, the APrIGF said that they are supportive of the right to be forgotten or not supportive of it, but I hope that it will be a much more nuanced position and analysis, and that's what we'd hope to achieve in that. One of the things that we could also do is to, when there are, let's say, 5 or 6 people contributing, then we try to, we coordinate, we sort of engage that process among people who have actually provided comments to get a bit more synthesis around that. So that will, I think, unfold.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I really had a hard time because the framing of the section on right to be forgotten is really biased to not really supporting right to be forgotten. So I think, probably I'll edit it. I'll suggest later, but just to be clarified about what this document is all about. But yeah, I think it's clear right now. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be guided by other comments on that particular issue as well. We've got about 25 minutes left, so we really do need to get as many comments as we can. Thank you.
Okay. I'm small. Valentina, APC. I think that at the opening yesterday, when we had a panel where was addressed the different issues that are part of this IGF from a gender or a more marginalized community perspective, I think that is not reflected here, because if you look at the specific passus on gender, it's the last one, and it's just entrenched into human rights. I think that we were discussing yesterday of women and other excluded community, rural community and so on, to be the ones that can be the driven forces also for innovation and for digital economy. So I think that this should be respected or in a preamble or in the different passages, not to just be, because be in the bottom and just in human rights, it seems more a burden for the ones who can make decision than in an empowered, than being really entrenched into the strategy and the kind of inclusion and society we are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you.
อันนี้เดี๋ยวให้ทางเขา translate นะครับ My name is Nathanat from Thailand. I want to speak about the document for people, for normally citizen about cyber security awareness. เพราะว่าผมเห็นว่าเนี่ยคนทั่วไปเนี่ยมีความรู้เรื่องนี้อ่อนมากแล้วทุกวันนี้จริงๆแล้วมันไม่ได้ไกลตัวเนื่องจากเดี๋ยว IoT ก็เข้ามาแล้วทุกคนก็มีสมาร์ทโฟนใช้กันอยู่แล้วมันก็เลยคิดว่ามันก็ต้องมีการให้ความรู้เรื่องนี้เยอะๆ
Okay, so the public are not aware of cybersecurity, so everyone should be aware of that issue. I'm just, for both of you who do not have this, right? I'm. Good. That's fine. Go ahead. Continue.
แล้วก็นอกจากนี้ก็การใช้โซเชียลมีเดียนะผมเห็นว่าก็คือถ้าเราจะมีการกำกับดูแลจริงๆเนี่ยก็ไม่ควรไปถึงขนาดควบคุมอะไรเยอะแยะเกินไปแต่ว่าควรจะให้ความรู้มากกว่าอย่างเช่นประมาณว่ามีด็อกิเมนต์เกี่ยวกับให้เด็กเวลาผู้ปกครองต้องรู้ว่าเด็กจะอยู่พวกนี้มันต้องระวังอะไรไม่ใช่อยู่ดีๆไปล็อกอินทิ้งไว้แล้วเด็กก็จะสามารถดูอะไรก็ได้อะไรประมาณนี้ parental control ใช้ยังไงของแต่ละอุปกรณ์แล้วก็ในเรื่องของ cyber bullying ครับอันนี้ก็ต้องเทรนสอนทั้งเด็กทั้งผู้ใหญ่ผู้ปกครองเลยครับก็คือหลักๆก็มีด็อกิเมนต์2เรื่องก็คือเรื่องการระวังภัยบนไซเบอร์ครับ Cyber Security Awareness แล้วก็อีกอันหนึ่งก็คือในส่วนของเรื่องการเด็กกับโซเชียลมีเดียครับก็คือผมคิดว่าแนวคิดถ้าจะไปเซ็นเซอร์ไปปิดกั้นเลยอย่างเงี้ยมันไม่ดีนะครับแต่ว่าเราควรจะทำความเข้าใจและให้ความรู้จะดีกว่าทำเป็น Public Document ครับ
Thank you very much. It's great, and also I think it's really great that we're getting some local language in here. Good.
Hello, this is Mubashir from Pakistan. I'm also representing a civil society here, but with no offense, I've got a comment over the setup I have seen in the last couple of days. It seems more like a civil society show. I wasn't sure. It's internet governance is, every stakeholder should be here on the table sitting and discussing and sharing their views. Government, very minimum representation of governments in this forum and private sector. You should encourage their participation. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, I'm Nika from Engage Media from the Philippines. Just to share that the purpose of the document is actually in the document. So if you can look at it, it's not really a binding document. The document doesn't want to represent all the views of all the people here. And the process will not really stop here, right? So there will be, this is a continuing process. So the synthesis document, even after the APrIGF, you can still comment on the APrIGF, the APrIGF synthesis document. As a matter of fact, on July 31st, we're organizing a feminist internet pop-up event here in Bangkok. If some of you are here or some of you are based in Bangkok, you can actually sit there, and one of the objectives is actually to talk about the recommendations of the recommendations on gender on the APrIGF synthesis document. So maybe just to ask the lovely people in front to just share the timeline so that people will also know that this is not just, this is not a process that will stop here.
Good evening. This is Cadence from NetMission.Asia, Hong Kong. So I appreciate that you included the part about access in the synthesis document. But I have something I would like to add is that I see that you have mentioned that the countries would sometimes block the internet access and then cut off the network to access the internet. But I think there are some new methods to censorship in terms of sometimes the government deliberately creates some traffic jams from some minority websites who express the opinions that is unfavorable for the government. So I think that apart from cutting off the network access, maybe we could include some protection or assistance to these minority websites who often got their traffic jammed and people couldn't access to these websites. So I think you could maybe this could be acknowledged in the synthesis document. And I think that although it is mentioned that any interruption to network should be made according to strict national legislation, but I think that any access to internet should be afforded no matter legislation or what, because this is a basic human right for all of us to access the internet. Thank you.
Please put that comment into the platform.
Good evening, I'm Gilbert from Central Law Philippines and AFEC Southeast Asia. I just have 3 comments. First, we want to thank you, the presence of our youth, and we want to hail their presence because we want to have an intergenerational approach, multi-stakeholder approach to internet governance. Secondly, as to the right to be forgotten, to be frank and to be candid, it's even very cautious. The paragraph on the right to be forgotten is very cautious because it just states we have to approach it with caution. In fact, it's very academic. It just balances the different issues. If I were a CSO advocate, I'd be very strong against the right to be forgotten in favor of freedom of expression and the right to information. Third, when it comes to CSOs, there's some mere seeming dominance by CSOs. Actually, we want to engage with the government. And why is it that they're not here? We want to have a dialogue with government. We want to understand their view, and we want them also to understand our view. So I hope that the government agencies can also be present in the RIGF. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Ali Hussain from Pakistan. I have a little comment about the platform of synthesis documents. This platform is good enough, and yesterday we also discussed few improvements. Some suggested about some more interactive sort of improvements in it. But I think as we have a local per country, every country has its own IGF, and maybe we could also consider having this synthesis document as per each sub IGF. Like each country has its own IGF page, so that because every country has different issues, and maybe we cannot comment about specific countries' issues in the generic synthesis documents. So there should be a separate per country synthesis document, which the local IGF of that particular country should be moderating, and that would be helpful in more specifically talking about the issues in a particular country. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jennifer from the Secretariat. Just a very quick response on your intervention. This is precisely what we are hoping to get people to think about. And in fact, the synthesis document, even though we're going through the town hall session right now, we have been accepted at the Global IGF for a session at the Global IGF in Geneva, talking specifically about that, whether or not the synthesis document process is something valuable and can be taken to other national and regional initiatives, and it can be valuable for them too. So this is precisely what we'd like everyone to think about as well. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Atit Surya Ungkun from Thai Netizen Network. What? For you, what? I actually would like to have, thanks. I would like to have this kind of town hall meeting for actually every day of IGF as well. Unfortunately, tomorrow we don't have it, but if it's possible next time, we should have it at the end of the day for every day in the event. The second thing is that I found out that when we're talking about newcomers, many times we are youth is very important, right? And when we start something like this, it always follow with the word but, right? So in Thailand cases, a lot of problems, fraud, violations. Actually, the victims a lot of times are also actually elderlies, like older people, senior citizens as well. So I think like in the languages that you're talking about, harmful or content, fraud, things like that, privacy violation, these newcomers to the internet, right, which are not necessarily youth, should be keep in mind, have it in mind as well, as a, I don't know, users that should be, I don't know, more protection because they have lesser experience to the internet. My last point is that already added as a comment at the paragraph 11 and 12 concerning privacy and security and a safer internet. Anyway, the comments still waiting for the moderation because I somehow put a URL and maybe it's the system thing is like a spam. So basically, it's about like any measures, technological measure, laws, policy, should thinking about future as well. It should be future-proof. My example in that comment, it's talking about those like data masking or data encryption measures that we use to for the data protection today. It may work, but 10 years from now, it may not work because like computer is faster, more sophisticated, whatever. But the owner of the personal data still alive. So that means the protection is no longer there. So I think like when we're talking like a law policy, we should thinking about this as well, whether it's going to work in the future. And we would like to add that in that section as well. Thanks.
I heard some interesting things in this session, and one of them is that youth is important. I quite agree. I wish I had more of it. But there are some advantages in being an older guy, and one of them is that I was around when the World Summit on the Information Society was held, and I was around when the World Internet Governance Group got going, and I remember some of the debates. And I would like to think that the Regional Internet Governance Forum would somehow take the acquired knowledge and experience of all of the people who've gone before and push that into the future. Now, to some extent, you're doing that very well, and merely organizing this session, this meeting, this conference so well is a sign that you are succeeding. But it also requires that all of the participants have a basic knowledge of the concepts and the terminology and the arguments that have gone before. And to some extent, you need to do a bit of study before you come to this conference. There are some things which you cannot understand merely by coming to the conference and hearing about them. And one of those is obviously legal debates that go on in Europe and South America and so on. The right to be forgotten is a case in point. This is an area which is very difficult, and it takes a lot of study, and nobody has the answers. It's moving all the time. We need preparation before we dive into those comments, those arguments, those debates. And preparation is necessary to take part in the conference in many of these, to comment on many of these internet governance questions. What I would like to suggest is maybe the Internet Governance Forum could recommend to the big IGF to prepare some training packs, information packs, in many languages, not just the UN languages, but the vernacular languages of the regions which hold these meetings. So if you could have training packs on the basic concepts that are discussed at an IGF meeting in the region, so that people could come having studied these things and thought about them and discussed them in their own country. I realize that training packs would take time and they would cost money to prepare and then money to translate them, but could you not recommend this to the global IGF as a productive activity that would help us get a few steps forward instead of rediscussing the same ideas from a fairly low level? Okay?
Thank you, Winston. One of the things we totally acknowledge what you've just said, and one of the things that we actually expected of our fellows, one of the programs, was that they actually underwent the IG program that is offered by the Internet Society. So they had to undergo that course before coming, so that at least our fellows know, and so we could extend that perhaps to our youth or the YIGF section as well. Now we're going to have to close the queue as it is at the moment. So Shrideep, you're the last one, and we'll be able to get you in, I think, before the end of the session. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Shirley from Hong Kong. I'm a high school student and also the representative of HKYIGF, a local YIGF holding in Hong Kong. I do think that I agree with the previous speaker that we can translate those documents into different kinds of languages. And I do think that based on the synthesis document, we could add some more guidelines on capacity building, especially for youth. Because I do think that the roles of the youth, they are not only the future leaders of the society, but they will also help to sustain the development of internet governance. As one of the organizing committee of YIGF this year in Bangkok, I do think that having more youth included in IGF discussion is a good start, but it's far not enough because in our grouping, I could see that most of the participants are from university, but we are lacking of participants from maybe primary school or high school. So I would like to include more youth into our discussion. I do think that make IG become the topics of youth is one of the key steps. So I would like to introduce local YIGF in the document or giving more guidelines about YIGF in the synthesis document. It would be a great method to raise awareness in local district because, for example, in Hong Kong, before holding HKYIGF, our teens or our peers would have know nothing about YIGF and internet governance issue. But afterwards, when we are going to hold the second HKYIGF in Hong Kong, there are some more people know more about it and more eager to join us and join into the discussion. So I do think that I would hope that for having those some region will not have local YIGF. I do think they could try to include those YIGF, and the document could include them and giving guidelines to them and let them to introduce YIGF in their region. And for the region have whole YIGF before Hong Kong, we will try to expand our influence to more region, and we can make use of our own experience in the past and help other regions to do better. Thank you.
2 minutes.
Okay, sure. My name is Shrideep Rayamaji, and the thing that I want to highlight is, looking at the young energy out here, it's quite phenomenal how they are processing the information. And one thing that I'd like to highlight is, Asia is a bigger economy, and it has loads of integration. So, I think there needs some kind of intervention in terms of can we, highlight internet penetration rate of Asia Pacific, or even give the youth the leaflet containing the information so that they would have an idea, because ultimately, Asia Pacific lacks information, data. So we need to integrate those information in them, right? Because these are the new leaders. We are the new leaders, and we need to, start this that, data and information are more important, and let's do an effort to, start this initiative that, they have these information and they could analyze and see the larger picture of the Asia Pacific and how it's going about, which could, impact in a more conclusive decision, and they could talk about it. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, this is Jennifer from the Secretariat. So we've had some comments on the need for more participation from other stakeholder groups. The good news is we do have this data. We do have this data when you register with us, we ask you to identify your stakeholder group. But at this point, unless Artit would like to, if he's still in the room, if he would like to let us know, we do have this breakdown, so we can give this to you probably at the closing plenary. I would like to also respond a little bit to some comments I heard, I think from the youth as well, that they said that the format might be a little intimidating and might not be as inclusive and as a dialogue as you would like. So I would like to point out that the platform itself, you can actually comment on the format of the platform itself. If you think that we can improve this for next year in a different format that you think is more inclusive or more equal, on an equal footing, please do feel free to reflect this in the document. And lastly, I would like to say that, you coming up to the mic and expressing your input and your comments, please also remember to do the same on the document itself. I have been refreshing the page diligently throughout the session, and I'm really, really happy to know that a lot of people actually have been putting in comments as we're going through this town hall session. So when we started, I think we're at 19, now we're almost at 30. So at least there was 10 comments within this brief hour. Please don't stop putting your comments in. If you have things that you heard yesterday, that you wanted to dwell on a little bit more before you frame it into some text, please go ahead and do that. If you have any questions on how to comment, if you have any problems with commenting, please feel free to email the Secretariat, and we'll be more than happy to let you know how to do that.
And also just reminding you that this is the final town hall session, because tomorrow is going to be the closing plenary. But it doesn't, we will be leaving that the platform's open. I mean, we're going to put that timeline on, so that, the timeline's up. So we will, even though, the conference will finish tomorrow, we will still be taking comments, so that if something comes to mind, even after you've left, please put it onto the platform. It's going to be really, really valuable for us. Okay, so it's time to go, and so I hope you all have a really nice, relaxing time tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
That's a really tired clap. We can do better than that. Yes, volunteers, thank you.
Volunteers
Thank you,
for the drafting
Joyce.
team, please.
Yes.
Please
Here,
come up
on.
and put your name down.
Okay, so Joyce has put her name in, so volunteers for the drafting committee who will help synthesize the document, who will look at the comments, who will write up better language. Come up.